to talk for a couple minutes today about how the city fights a snowstorm. Obviously, like everybody else, we spend a lot of time looking at the weather forecast, what's anticipated, when it's supposed to come, and even what the temperatures are supposed to be before and after an event. Then we get together with our street supervisors and we devise a plan of how we're going to attack this storm. And what plays into that is, do we have the opportunity to pre-treat? How many crews are we going to call in? When are we going to call them in? How is this thing going to lay out as we anticipate this storm coming? There's a window of opportunity there, not an exact time frame. So let's talk about pre-treatment. When we know that the temperatures are low enough and there's not anticipated wet precipitation ahead of a storm so that we can pre-treat and not have it wash off, we will go out and we will pre-treat with a brine solution our major 16 snow routes. What that does is it helps fight the snow as it's falling while we're getting to all the streets that comprise of those 16 routes. It helps remove the snow from the roadways quicker. Once that decision's made, we'll put the crews out to put the brine down prior to the event, typically during the normal day, and that's down in anticipation of the snow. A lot of times people will see the little white lines down the roadway that they know that the brine's been put down and there's probably some sort of an event coming. Once the crews are called in, we focus on our top 16 snow routes. The city has broken the city into 16 snow routes. We have what we call our top 8 routes, which is the major routes in town, your Far Hills, your Dorothy, your Wilmington, Stroop. All of those routes are our first priority. Our intent here is to get people through and around town safely. So crews will focus on those routes, and then they will drop into the next 8 routes. We have a lower 8, so we have a top 8 and a lower 8. The lower 8 are our secondaries, which include a lot of the non-major routes that have hills, routes to school, businesses, major routes through a subdivision. So that's our second priority of focus. And then once all of those are clear, if the call is made that we're going into the residential streets, we'll drop into the residential streets. The goal is to have all streets cleared after 24 hours of snow stoppage. Now, when we say all roads, if there's a snow event that is 2 inches or less, generally in that ballpark, we will not go into the districts. We will not go into the residential streets. We will focus only on those top 16 routes. Map here shows all the 16 routes. Again, we talk about the top 8 being your major roadways. Those are done all the time. Then we drop into the lower 8 routes of the snow fighting plan. Some of those roadways, a lot of those roadways are in residential areas. The reason they're picked is they have heavier traffic, or we talked about before, the hillsides, and it gives a resident anywhere in that general residential area an opportunity to get out to a treated street within a block or two. There are circumstances where a resident says, hey, you did the street behind me, but you didn't do my street. If we are not doing all the streets in town because the snow is a smaller event, that very well could happen because we were only going to address those routes that get you in and around the subdivision, not do everything. So the example I will use is Cherry Oak Drive. If we're only doing the 16 routes, they'll notice that Bending Willow Drive has been treated, but they haven't been. That's by design. We will only go into Cherry Oak if all the streets are being done, and typically that's above a 2-inch storm. One thing residents can do to help as we're fighting the storm, because again, we talk about no matter what the event is, we want to have all roadways cleared within 24 hours. A couple things residents can do. A major thing is anytime there's a parked car, it slows us down. So I know there's a lot of places in town that parking is difficult, but anywhere that we can get the roads clear, the trucks move faster, we get through the city quicker, and the roads are cleared quicker. That's always a great help. So keep that in mind as the snow event comes and your crews are out 12-hour shifts through the middle of the night. That's something you can do to help us get done quicker, and we can make this a much more successful system.